Do you know if Sergeant Osborne did a report on his use of force for grabbing the inmate off of the examination bed?
No, ma'am.
You don't know if he did a report? So is all use of force required to have a report?
When there's a suspected injury, absolutely. At that point in time when he was, and I reviewed the video when he takes her out of the medical office, there didn't appear to be anything excessive in his use of force on getting her back to her cell.
Okay, and you just said that you do a use of force when there's a expectation that there's suspicion of injury.
Of injury, correct.
Okay, but we know from Sergeant Osborne that at 15:30, Lieutenant Duarte wrote in her report that Sergeant Osborne stated the inmate Christensen was seen by medical at 3:30, and there were no further incidences in medical release, or she was not injured at 3:30.
Correct.
So if the inmate wasn't injured, then how would Sergeant Johnson know to write a report if he's not being told that there was an injury? If there's no injury? If there's no injury,
you're confusing me on your question.
If there's no injury, because you just said that you write a report when there's an injury.
Suspicion of injury, correct.
Okay, so there was a suspicion of injury based on Sergeant Osborne and Lieutenant Duarte talking. She said to Osborne, get him to medical, get her, the inmate, to medical. So at 3:30, Sergeant Osborne and Sergeant Johnson take the inmate to medical.
Okay.
Medical sees the inmate, says there's no injury. The inmate goes back, and Sergeant Osborne calls Lieutenant Duarte. So my question to you is, you're saying that there should have been a report, but how would Sergeant Johnson know, how would Keith know to write a report if there's no injury? How would he know to write a report?
Usually whenever there's any kind of an incident in the facility where you have to go hands-on with an inmate, there should be a report generated.
But Sergeant Osborne had to go hands-on with the inmate, grabbing her and pulling her off at the examination table.
Correct, and from what you just told me, that he did submit a report that he took her out of medical, or am I mistaken on that?
No, I didn't. I asked you if you knew if he had written a report.
I had no idea, no knowledge of a report being written by him.
Okay, all right. Could have Lieutenant Duarte asked Sergeant Johnson to write a report?
Absolutely.
Called them up and said, hey, we're hearing about complaints. I want to know what happened. Write a report right now.
Absolutely.
Just as she had done with Sergeant Osborne?
Absolutely. The way the cards fell with that is there was the complaint that excessive force was used. So therefore, Lieutenant Duarte got a hold of Sergeant Osborne since he was president, and then Sergeant Johnson to get their reports completed.